Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we hear from a Southern Kentucky father who used his faith to get through tragedy after the death of his son. And ARH now has a brand new helicopter in case of emergencies thanks to a partnership based with an out-of-state organization.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you on this Friday, and thank goodness it's Friday. I'm Brandon Robinson here, and it's June the 9th. I know we're already, me included, for the end of this week. It's been a long one. Let's get over to the forecast this morning, show you what's going on. We start up at Slade near the Mountain Parkway this morning, and well, not near the Mountain Parkway, it's near the Wolf Powell County line. Use your words, Brandon. Just 30 more minutes. Use your words. All right, so we're looking there, not looking too bad. Maybe just a little bit of haze, maybe just a little bit of fog up there along the Mountain Parkway this morning, so just be careful. Here is the big story right now. Temperatures, June the 9th. I want you to remember that. 40 in Clintwood, 50 in Pikeville, the warmest spot in the region, 55 in Monticello this morning. Many locations in the 40s right now. Look at the difference between now and this time yesterday. 10 to 11 to 13 degrees colder in some of the southern counties there. Jackson and Prestonsburg, exactly where they were this time yesterday morning. It's just a difference. What a difference a day makes. Breakfast forecast, maybe put some coffee in with your frosted weather wheats this morning. We're going to be seeing temperatures staying a little bit on the cool side, but the sunshine comes up pretty soon, even with the haze. It's going to warm us up to about 77 a little bit later today. Back to news. Many of you remember Pulaski County High School football player, Andrew Dodson. The 17-year-old died on April 3rd after suffering a head injury during a scrimmage. Our Steve Hensley had a conversation with Andrew's dad, Alan, that will air on Issues and Answers next week. But WYMT's Keaton Hall gives us a glimpse into how the pastor has leaned on faith through this tragedy.
Alan Dodson's life changed on March 31st when he got a call that his son was in the hospital.
The emergency room doctor was on the phone with me and said, "Mr. Dodson, this is very serious and you need to get home as soon as you can."
Alan's son Andrew was injured after a hit to the head during a Pulaski County High School football scrimmage. He died in the hospital on April 3rd.
Scripture does not tell the believer not to grieve.
Yeah.
We're going to grieve. It's a part of who we are. But we're not to grieve as those who have no hope.
Alan, who is a pastor, says he's relied on his faith, but has questioned why this would happen.
Some would try to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof in their faith, but I'm a dad, you know, and the most precious gifts that I've ever been given is, number one, outside of my salvation, is my wife and then my 2 sons.
After Andrew's death, support poured in for Dodson and his family. On April 7th, dozens of high schools and college football programs across the state, including Mark Stoops and the Wildcats, turned their stadium lights on for 80 minutes. 80 was Andrew's jersey number.
And yeah, it just said to us, Dodson family, we're supporting you, we love you, we're praying for you, we're doing this for Andrew.
Hoping his son will be remembered as he was on and off the field.
I don't want Andrew to be remembered because of the circumstances of his death, nor his age when he passed away. He was just the type of young man that everybody loved.
Now forever with his name in lights. Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
More than 4,000 people came to Andrew's visitation and thousands more watched his funeral on YouTube. You can watch the full interview with Alan Dodson on Issues and Answers Monday night at 7 right here on WYMT. Meanwhile, one Pike County Fire Department is saying goodbye to its assistant chief this weekend following his death in a car crash on Wednesday. The Marbone Volunteer Fire Department is preparing to host a funeral for Brian Belcher, a family man who served his community for nearly 3 decades. Fire Chief Cleaner Bubby Adkins says who had a heart attack during the weekend, says the last time he saw Brian Sunday was when he was heading in for surgery, showing up as the true friend and fireman that he was.
I looked over and there stood Brian. You know, he said, he spoke to me, and like I said, I was on my way to the cath lab, and he stayed with my family the whole time.
Officials with the department invite the community to pay their respects to the career public servant. You can see his arrangements on our website, WYMT.com. Also here in Perry County, a longtime minor mechanic and volunteer firefighter has also died. 71-year-old Don Duff was a volunteer firefighter with the Lotts Creek, Chavies, Grapevine, and Krypton fire departments. He was a career miner and mechanic with a passion for jewelry making. Duff was also a member of the Mountain Arts Alliance. A visitation is scheduled for 1 p.m. on Saturday at Maggard's Mountain View Chapel here in Hazard, with a funeral service at 3 p.m. Injuries and illnesses can often require immediate care to save someone's life. ARH President and CEO Holly Phillips says the first step to providing this care begins with emergency transport. WYMT's Jack Demler has more on a new service in Hazard that will help with that step.
A new mode of medical transportation is ready to lift off in Perry County. With emergency medical staff shortages, the Air Evac Life team wanted to find more ways to help the community.
After all the floods, you know, that was a big wake-up call for us all as well. But we all wanted, what can we do? What can we do to better serve our communities?
That led them to Holly Phillips, the president and CEO of Appalachian Regional Healthcare.
She was really excited about maybe, well, let's do something in Hazard.
With the help of ARH, Air Evac was able to provide a customized helicopter. Regional Director Jamie Ward says it takes the Air Evac medical team about 15 minutes to get off the ground and anywhere in Perry County to give members of the community the medical attention they may need.
So when you have a traumatic accident or you need some specialized care, it takes a while to get there, and time is brain, time is heart muscle, you know, so these aircraft help us get patients from these rural communities to that definitive care much more quickly than you can on some of these, winding country roads around.
Some examples of injuries that require Air Evac response include car accidents, major trauma, cardiac issues, strokes, and other accidents. The aircraft is able to transport patients to and from ARH Medical Center. In Perry County, I'm Jack Demler, WYMT Mountain News.
And meanwhile, yesterday, AirVac also received verification from Kentucky's Board of Emergency Medical Services for an aircraft in London to be put into service there as well. Perry County stepping up to help keep an ambulance service up and running in neighboring Knott County. On June 16th, which is next Friday, the Perry County Ambulance Service will officially take over. Perry County Judge Executive Scott Alexander says it's what neighboring communities do, and some things may need a regional approach.
Yeah, we've been trying to tear down those walls that separates us from county to county and realizing that we're all in this together. And anytime we see a need, we've always been willing to try to step up and help.
The two counties will be working together for the next year while Knott County finds a permanent solution. A group of 41 people from Nebraska made a trip of more than 16 hours to eastern Kentucky to help people rebuild or continue to rebuild after last summer's flooding. The group is staying in Hyman Methodist Church and has spent the last 4 days breaking out into 5 separate groups across the county to get as much work done as possible. They say they have been overwhelmed by the kindness of the people here in the mountains.
The place I worked yesterday, the homeowner was working alongside us, and I just have felt very welcome, and we really appreciate that. And last night the church people cooked for us, so it's been a really fun place to be.
Good old Eastern Kentucky hospitality at work. Members of the Central Nebraska Mission Group say they hope to get opportunities to continue coming back and helping the people right here in Eastern Kentucky. In January, we brought you the story of a 100-year-old former general store turned into an antique shop in Pike County. WYMT's Jordan Mullins paid another visit to Johnson's Antiques to see how the small family-owned business was doing and how the owner is continuing his mission to preserve his community's history.
For nearly a century, Johnson's store supplied groceries, clothes, tools, and more to the Wolf Pit community of Pike County.
This store serviced the area for, it's been in the family 100 years pretty much. So there's a lot of memories here. But beyond the business side of it, the nostalgia part has been overwhelming.
In January, owner Christopher Epling began working in his family's former general store, breathing life into the bones of the old building.
Breathing new life into a place. And I really think us in Appalachia here, rural Appalachia, we got to look at, You know, how can we breathe life into a community?
In mid-April, Johnson's Antiques officially opened and began offering up pieces of history.
Back in the day, they were supplying necessities to people. Now we're just supplying history. We're giving them a piece of history to hold on to, remember.
History that Epling hopes is never forgotten.
Once we lose our history, that old saying, you know, once you forget, you know, the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And I just feel like, you know, keeping history alive and sharing it is almost a mission. And it's one that we're going to keep doing as long as we can.
Sharing his family's story one piece at a time. In Pike County, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, Epling says the support he and his family have received from his community and beyond is astonishing, and he hopes that someday his children will carry on the family business. .640 here on this Friday morning. Whitesburg downtown, a little bit of fog out that way, and 49. We're going to continue to watch that trend as we head deeper into the forecast. We are also going to continue to see again the possibility for some colder temperatures out there. I keep waiting for Clintwood to drop into the 30s, and I know that's something odd to say when we're talking about June here, but again, who would have expected it to be this cold in June? 40 in Clintwood, 50 Pikeville, 51 Jackson, Prestonsburg, 54 Monticello, but a lot of mid to upper 40s out there this morning. Grundy's down to 42, Jonesville's down to 43, 44 in Manchester. Out the door forecast features lots of sunshine after that fog goes away this morning, and temperatures that will climb into the mid to upper 70s a little bit later on today. 77 is the official forecast high. Sunshine is going to continue as we head into the weekend, at least for now. And we'll keep you posted about Sunday a little bit later on. All right, thank you for joining us. Time now 6:41. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. The Canadian wildfires seem to be causing a familiar uptick in the sale of face masks here in the U.S. as Americans try to keep their lungs safe from smoke.